Why would she tell someone you're about to kill her? And then she died that night.
I don't know. I didn't kill her. That's what y'all don't understand. I didn't kill her.
That's Jarrett Davis. Adamant, insistent, yelling at detectives. This is just days after his girlfriend, Megan Bodiford, was found burned inside a car on a rural South Carolina road. But the thing about this is, right before she disappeared, Megan sent a text to her best friend saying she was afraid that Davis was going to kill her. And now we have the interrogation footage. And for the first time, we are seeing exactly how Davis tried and ultimately failed to talk his way out of it. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. All right, can we be honest about something real quick? Most people, when they look at their bank statements, the amount of DoorDash orders over the last 2 years is probably a little embarrassing, right? But I just saw a report that is going to make you put your phone down. There are serious allegations coming out that the app may have tracked your precise location and shared it with third parties without your consent, potentially capitalizing on sensitive data. It's actually a huge privacy deal. Well, Morgan & Morgan, they're jumping in to investigate. And if you've used this app between 2023 and 2025, you can easily check to see if you qualify for a claim. And if you do, you may be entitled to compensation. So you can visit forthepeople.com/sidebar DoorDash or click the link in the description for a free case review. It takes just 5 minutes or less. Megan Bodiford was 25 years old, a mom to 3 little girls, the kind of person who was always on the go, always hanging with friends, living life out loud. Her family says that her greatest joy was those little girls, her daughters. But in April of 2024, she sent a text message to her best friend that would end up being a prediction of her own death. If you don't hear from me in 30 minutes, call the law. Redacted. Jared's about to kill me. Now, within days, authorities found her car burned, abandoned off of a dirt road in rural South Carolina, and inside were human remains. And inside the home that she shared with her boyfriend, their 4-month-old baby, alone, unharmed, but without a mother who would never come back. That boyfriend's name is Jarrett Davis. And for the first time since his arrest, we are getting to see what he told police. Across 3 separate interrogations, Davis tries to talk his way out of this. And at first, he's calm, he's cooperative, he's got a story that they went to a baseball game, stopped at Walmart, then went home. She got upset, she left. He says he stayed behind, changing the baby, end of story. But the thing about that is, investigators already had something that Davis didn't realize existed. GPS data, placing him near the remote road where Megan's burned car was later found. Health data from his own phone showing him walking more than 1.5 miles that night, not pacing in a yard, but moving. And then there's the chilling and heartbreaking text that Megan sent to a friend just before she disappeared. Now, as I mentioned, we obtained that interrogation, some of the most compelling evidence you can ever have in a case. And over hours of video, you can watch the pressure build until eventually Davis is left with nowhere to go. Because the version of events that finally emerges is even more disturbing. That baby was there in that car seat, while Megan's body was in the driver's seat. Now, luckily, that baby was taken out of that car before it was set on fire. Now, to understand what happened to Megan, you got to start on the night of Thursday, April 25th, 2024. You have this small city, it's called Denmark, South Carolina. It's not far from the Georgia line. Megan was 25 years old, a mom to 3 girls, 7, 4, just 4 months old. Those were the ages. And around 9:48 that night, police say Megan sent a text message to her best friend. And that text would end up being a prediction of her own death. Jarrett's about to kill me. If you don't hear from me in 30 minutes, call the law. Redacted. Gents Branch Road. Now, Gents Branch Road, that is where Megan lived with her boyfriend, Jarrett Davis. He was 28 years old. He was the father of at least one of her children, that 4-month-old baby. Her friend called her immediately, and around 9:50 p.m., she could hear Davis in the background arguing, saying something nasty to Megan. This is according to what she later told investigators. And then the call ended. That was the last time anyone heard Megan Bodiford's voice. 30 minutes came and went, then an hour, then the whole night. When police eventually got involved, by the time law enforcement got involved and they were called, Megan was already gone. On Saturday, April 27th, so this is 2 days after Megan vanished, the Bamberg County Sheriff's Office and SLED, this is the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, they went to the home on Gents Branch Road, and cell phone location data led them there. They were doing a wellness check. But here's what they didn't know until they arrived. Jarrett Davis already had an active warrant out for his arrest, domestic violence out of nearby Barnwell County. Another warrant accused him of possessing a shotgun, which is a problem because Davis was a convicted felon. He wasn't supposed to have any weapons at all. He was also on probation. When law enforcement pulled up, they spotted Davis coming out of a shed in the backyard, and they took him into custody right there. But Megan, she wasn't anywhere to be found. They went inside the house, and that is when they found that 4-month-old baby alone in the living room, thankfully unharmed, but alone. Megan's other 2 daughters weren't there. They were with their father, a different man. But that baby, that was Davis's child, and she was just sitting there without her mother, without anyone. Law enforcement got a search warrant. They seized an iPhone, security cameras, a laptop, a baby monitor, a deer camera. They believed that this evidence might help locate Megan. Maybe it could be stored on those items. But for days, there was nothing. No Megan, no answers. Then you go to April 30th. So this is 5 days after she disappeared. And that is when the Bamberg County Sheriff's Office called SLED about a burned car found outside of the Denmark City limits. You have this dark gray Ford Explorer, same make and model reportedly that Megan drove. It was off of a dirt road near some power poles in a rural part of the county, only about 2 miles from her last known location, and deputies said it appeared there were human remains inside. It'd take days to officially identify that this was Megan using DNA and dental records, but it was clear. Megan was gone. And the way that she was found inside her own car, burned beyond recognition, this wasn't an accident. And to make this even more horrifying, at one point there was an arson expert who examined her body and revealed that this was the worst burned body he had seen in nearly 2 decades. According to court records, prosecutors charged Jarrett Davis with murder, possession of a weapon during a violent crime, unlawful possession of a firearm, arson, and desecration of human remains. Here's the thing. They didn't have a confession. Not yet. They had evidence, right? The location data, phone records, that chilling text message, the baby found alone, the burned car, but they didn't have Davis telling them what happened. That would come later because, again, across 3 separate interrogations recorded on video, Davis would try to sell them a story and then another story. And then finally, it seems the truth came out. We got our hands on those interrogations. We want to play them for you. Now, the first one starts simple enough. Davis is calm. He's cooperative. The detectives sit him down, read him his rights, standard stuff, and then they ask him to walk them through the last time he saw Megan alive.
So, I want to go back into detail the last time you saw Megan. We're going to try to retrace everything, and let's start there. I want you to think back, do the best you can, and let's see if we can recreate what all happened, and let's see if we can tie this thing together, okay? So, what day was the last day you saw her?
Thursday.
That Thursday?
Thursday night.
Thursday night.
I think it was Thursday.
Okay, and that's fine. Just do the best you can on remembering. We're going to take a few little notes.
And just for your memory, I guess you were picked up Saturday morning, so if that helps at all with your days. Saturday morning is when you were picked up.
Okay. Still seem right? Thursday night, probably. About what time Thursday night do you remember last seeing her?
I don't remember the time. She walked out, I was changing the baby.
All right. Was it daylight? Was it dark?
It was like 12 o'clock at night, past 12, I don't know.
So, after midnight.
Yeah.
So, we talking after midnight Thursday night going into Friday morning? Okay. So, midnight Friday morning. And you think it was after midnight. So, it was late.
Pretty late.
Tell me about the conversation. Tell me about what was going on between y'all two that day, Thursday. But you and Megan and your baby went and watched it. All right, y'all watched the game. Did he win or lose?
He lost. He lost bad.
Bad?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. After the baseball game, what'd y'all do then?
We went to Walmart and then tried to supply.
All right.
One of my friends came over later at night.
Was this about what time were we thinking here?
Probably 9-ish. 9
About 9.
We're between 9 and 10.
9 to 10. Who came over?
Bubba Bryant.
Bubba?
Yeah. Will Bryant.
Bubba Bryant came over. How long was he over there for?
10, 15 minutes.
Oh, okay. What do you stop by? Any particular reason?
And so he did something he converted from me.
He did what now?
So got a converter from me.
Oh, okay. Like a power converter?
No, like catalytic converter.
Oh, a catalytic converter.
Yeah.
Oh.
Being honest, I'm telling everything.
That's fine.
So according to Davis, that Thursday night was just a normal night. Baseball, Walmart, hanging out. He even mentions a friend named Bubba stopping by to pick up a stolen catalytic converter. But then the conversation takes a turn because Davis starts talking about what happened after Bubba left. And according to him, things between him and Megan, they were fine until they weren't. Listen to how he tells it.
All right, so Bubba comes over, picks some catalytic converter from you, then he leaves in 10, 15 minutes. When we're between 9 and 10 p.m. that night. Megan's still at the house.
Yeah.
All right, did she see Bubba that night? Did she come outside? Or?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she stepped out. I went and walked to the car while he was there.
Okay. All right. Catalytic converter, was it back up in your shop or?
It is in the shop.
So you and Bo go in there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, y'all leave out. He leaves.
Yeah.
Well, what else we doing that night?
Me and her at 6 later at night.
So you and her had sex?
Yeah.
All right. So things were okay at this point?
Until, like I told you the other day, I didn't. She wanted me
Yeah.
I didn't.
And you didn't?
Yeah, and that's when she started getting upset.
All right.
Saying that for my first baby mama was good enough. She wasn't.
Okay. All right, so what time do you think this was? I know it's hard to put a time on. Just roughly.
I really don't know.
Okay. So somewhere.
So I wasn't really, I don't know.
Okay. All right, so y'all had sex, and then you pulled out.
Yeah.
She got mad.
Yeah.
How'd the argument go? What was going on then?
I just said she was saying that my first baby mom was good enough. She wasn't good enough.
So that's his story. She got upset, she left, and according to Davis, he thought she went to a friend's house, just needed to cool off. He figured she'd be back. But when morning came and she hadn't called to check on the baby, he says he started to get worried.
So there was nothing physical Thursday night?
It was just one-sided heat, really. It was just, she was the only one really upset.
Okay.
That time.
All right. How long after all this do you think it was before she left? Like, how long do you think she stuck around the house? And
It wasn't too long. Because as the bickering was going back and forth, she was when she left.
okay, did she pack anything or?
Her car was stay packed full of stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, her car stayed full of stuff.
So she had clothes and all that in
Yeah,
the cars already.
She did always in her car.
So she could leave in the car at any point in time.
Yeah, you can ask me about her car, stayed full of
Okay.
clothes.
So she was good to go. She loved her car. She didn't need to pack that. And what did she tell you when she was leaving?
She said that she was going to leave the baby with me since she always has a baby. And I was keeping her for tomorrow for PTI for her. She had PTI appointment, I think. And she's like, I gotta come back here for PTI.
Okay.
Which the way she left, like, I'm pretty sure I told the other ones this. I thought she was coming right back.
Mm-hmm. Had she have been leaving, where would you have thought she would have went?
I thought she was going to one of her friend's house.
Like who?
I thought she just went a little bit or came back or either just left and came back or.
I gotcha. But she didn't come back that night.
That's why the next morning when she didn't call and check on the baby, I think it was about 9 o'clock that morning, I contacted her mama. I asked if she talked to her at all.
About 9 a.m.
Yeah.
You called her mama?
I texted her mama.
Texted.
And her mama called me. Because immediately whenever it started getting weird to me, I reached out to everybody. I started reaching out.
Okay.
So far, Davis is painting himself as the concerned boyfriend. But then the detectives pivot because they have something that Davis didn't know about when he sat down in that room. And that is the horrifying text message that we have been talking about. So they want to know, what does he think about this?
At what point did the sheriff's office or whoever come back and get you that Saturday? I don't know what time they got there.
I don't know, it was the next morning.
It was early or nothing crazy? Were you already awake?
Yeah.
All right.
Me and David was already up.
All right. Where were you at when they got there?
I was in my
Do you have a smartwatch or anything like an Apple Watch or
Megan did.
Megan did?
Yeah.
Apple Watch or?
Apple Watch.
Okay. You didn't have one?
No.
Okay. All right. So, a couple things I do need to ask you about, and I got to get some specifics here. You gave us your phone, so we can look through that and see if anything came up. And there were, and not just her phone, not just your phone, but we ended up getting some text messages that Megan sent some of her friends.
Yeah.
That said,
That's what you told me about the last interview.
okay,
I think they showed you the screenshot.
what in the world do you think that's about?
I don't know. She was very dramatic. You didn't see much. She was very
And that's fine.
dramatic with everything. I don't know.
So, at any point, you have a gun to her head?
No.
Tell her you
I don't even have a gun.
Oh.
Actually, a lot, dude. There's a gun at the house. It's not really a gun. It's a pipe that's about this long. It's a 12 gauge little slapstick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You remember who she sent that text to? Did she call her that night at all?
I think she got.
Okay. Do you know what she was talking about at all?
No.
But the detectives aren't done, because they have something else that Davis didn't account for, something he probably didn't even know existed on his own phone: health data. According to that data, between 10 and 11 o'clock that night, Davis didn't stay home with the baby like he said. He walked more than 1.5 miles, and not just pacing around in the yard. They lay it out for him.
Between, so, what time? So you got home probably, well, so 9 to 10 is when Bubba came over.
You said you got home around 7.
7-ish, give or take. Y'all just don't got out of the house at that point, and 9 to 10 or so, Bubba came by, picked up a catalytic converter, and he left. Did you and him go anywhere together? Y'all was just in the yard. Y'all didn't leave, and he was only there a short period of time. And if at any point I say something that's not right, please tell me. After he leaves, you stay outside anymore? You go back in the house, or?
I'm not really too sure how soon I went back in the house.
Okay. Eventually, you go back in the house.
Yeah.
That's when you and Megan have sex.
Yeah.
Your bedroom? I mean, I don't know.
On the couch.
On the couch? Yeah. All right.
But Megan's the only one that left that house. You stayed the whole time, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Until the next morning around 11. That's when you
Went down to
went to your grandma's. All right. So, we got another thing that actually, Peter, I don't remember what this is called. So this is, I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. He's my guru.
We get some fancy stuff off the phones and stuff. It's called health data. So one of the things I do is I'm good at tracking people on their phones and looking at health data, and that tells a lot about what someone does. And we got your health data for you that night. So that's what Mitch just got pointed out here.
So we got a lot of, so around 10 p.m.-ish, give or take, it's got you're doing a lot of walking from 10 to, let's just say 10 to, I mean, for a good solid hour back, a lot of walking where we're looking at over 1.5 miles of distance covered. Like not just making circles in the yard, but a lot of walking. Like you walk down the road and things like that. Where would you have been going at that point?
I didn't walk anywhere.
Nowhere.
I walked back from the shed to the house.
Yeah. Well, that ain't. Yeah.
And here's the thing: I went through your health data for the whole day and analyzed it, and I can see, the short distance stuff like that. These are massive movements.
Significant.
This is not like you just walking to and from the shed, or even walking like to and from your parents. Probably this is like massive amounts of walking.
I didn't walk anywhere. So I had a baby that night.
So Jared, what I want to know, I feel like there's more to it that you're just not telling us. And I just want to know, did something else happen between you and Megan that night? Did she do anything to you?
No.
This is our
There was nothing like that done. Like I told other people, it was I mean, I'm telling y'all everything that happened that night.
I got it, and I feel like you've told me a good bit. Just feel like we're leaving out just a little bit of key details because during some of this all this walking was from 10 p.m. ish to a little after 11, and I don't think Megan's at the house at that time. I think Megan's already gone.
What time?
Between 10 p.m. to 11:30 or so, you're doing a lot of walking, and I don't think Megan was there anymore. I think Megan had already left.
Around 11:30, 12 is when she left.
Yeah. Well, no, I think she left before 10.
No, his Bubba was there then.
Right. And Bubba saw and talked to Megan.
I'm pretty sure she stepped out and went to get something in her car when he was there.
But he was only there a little while.
Yeah.
And then maybe she left really close after he left. But I think at midnight at this point, I think she's been gone.
Yeah.
No. It's just very odd. Something don't add up. And I don't know if, something happened to where, it was just a breaking point, but it looks like you were walking back from Turnray Road and back to your house. And then, I guess, maybe through the woods or something, is there like a pond somewhere behind or some kind of body of water?
Behind where your grandparents or parents live?
Somewhere?
I don't think so.
Between them and the hospital?
No, there's a horse field.
But not a pond. No body of water. Because it looks like you went to a body of water also. After all this walking from Turnray Road back to your house, and then looks like you went to a pond, through the woods and stuff, and then...
I never went to Turnray Road that night.
You know where Turnray Road is?
Yeah, that's where they found me. I mean, y'all trying to say I put Megan there, and I didn't.
I'm putting you there because I believe we have some coordinates that put you at Turnray Road, like on foot.
So, we're not stupid. We know what happened, but this is your time to just tell us what happened.
And explain why.
What happened to make this happen? No, but listen to me. Something happened that night. She might have just pissed you off, driving you nuts.
No, there's nothing like that.
But here's the thing.
To her.
Here's the thing. We know what happened. We know what happened.
Because I didn't do anything to her.
And detectives reveal they have phone records too. And they directly contradict everything Davis just said. The texts, the calls, both phones moving together near where her body was found. And in between, that 1.5 miles of walking, a straight line from where her body ended up back to his house. So they ask him to explain it. And for the first time, you hear something kind of different in his voice.
Jerry, we've talked to everyone. Your story does not match anyone else's that was with you that day. So it's time to...
What doesn't it match?
Your time frame and everything is not matching up with anyone else we've talked to. I've talked to probably 15, 20 people around the area and everything, and everyone you've mentioned today, I've talked to. And nothing you're saying... I get you went to Walmart, did all that and stuff, but your time frames after don't match.
You're excluding some very key points.
What am I excluding?
Pretty much the time where Megan was killed.
How?
You're leaving that part out.
I didn't kill her. That's what y'all don't understand. I didn't kill her.
Well, what happened? How did she die?
I don't know.
Why would she tell someone you're about to kill her? And then she died that night.
I don't know.
That's
pretty damn convenient.
that is.
We're looking at like a less than an hour.
Very less.
I didn't. I'm telling you, I didn't kill her.
If my wife sent a text to someone like that, and she was found missing, jeez.
Yeah.
I understand how it looks.
How would you think?
Whenever she left that night, I was with my child.
All right. So obviously we have this text, which is completely odd. Let's just say.
I understand that.
All right. Jared's about to kill me. If I'm not here, and if you don't hear from me in 30 minutes, call the law. Her vehicle is found.
Why wasn't the law called that night then?
Don't know. The only person I can ask is who she sent the message to. Don't know why it wasn't. Vehicles found off the roadway, burned. You were where the vehicle was found. We have you there at that spot where the vehicle was found.
You don't have me at that spot. I was never on Turnberry Road.
Yes, sir, we do.
No. I physically was never on Turnberry Road that night. Whenever we turned around going to the gas station was not on Turnberry Road. It was past Turnberry Road.
Where that vehicle was, we have you there. Where that vehicle was at. So,
Ain't no way.
I mean, it's so much stuff. It just
No, but there's no way because I was never on Turnberry Road that night. That's the thing. I was like me physically. I was never on turn. We passed it on the way to before we turned around. Yeah, but I was never physically on Turnberry Road.
So here, let me do it. Let me just tell you this. So I'm going to read you a little timeline of what we have documented for. So at 9:48, you get that. She gets that text sent out to her friend. Okay. 9:50, she hears you on the phone, some kind of arguing, hangs up. Okay. At 10:20, both y'all's phones are moving together, right there. And then at 10:42, you send a text message, "Call me ASAP. It's emergency." But during the 10 to 10:42 time frame, I got you walking 1.58 miles, okay? And guess what? Guess how far it is from where her body was to your house?
How far?
1.8.
no
1.6. So right there.
straight line.
Straight line.
1.6 miles.
And if you look on Google Earth, it is a straight shot to get to it.
To where
I mean,
vehicles found.
it's not like we just have one thing saying you're there. I mean, everything is
Well, I was
adding
never there. That's the thing.
But here's the thing. Between 9:50 and pretty much 11, you're rolling. I mean, you're hauling ass. You're walking fast. I mean, you're doing all this
They're
stuff.
all over the place, man. Like trying to get the hell out of.
And all you're saying is that you were just walking from your shed to your house. I mean, I've seen where you live. It's not that far of a walk. I mean, you probably walk the hallway. And I mean, I can see during the day you walking back and forth.
But I never left the house that night. That's the thing.
Then how did you walk 1.58 miles between 10 and 10:42 if you didn't leave the house? You know what I'm saying?
I know, but I didn't. I said I had my child that night.
Okay. I mean,
We know she was there. We knew.
and you had a baby monitor that you could hold and watch. So
Yeah, but it don't work a mile away from the house.
I'm trying to show you what we're seeing because, you know,
It looks bad. There's nothing that looks.
Yeah, but I'm
There, it looks bad. There's nothing. I mean, you do not have. I mean, everything's pointing to you right now. So if something happened,
that's the thing. Nothing happened though.
are you scared that you're never going to see this baby again?
I'm scared of that now, even though I didn't do anything to her.
But here's the thing, you know, this baby deserves answers.
I totally agree.
I mean, right now, this baby is the one that's losing everything.
Now, detectives hit Davis with something else, the brutality of what was done to Megan. They tell him about an arson expert who said this was the worst case he'd ever seen. They asked Davis, who would do something like this? And he still insists it wasn't him.
I mean, who would do this to her? Who would kill her, drive her down
Why would I kill her?
a ditch, and burn the car?
Why would I?
And let me just say, you know, we have arson experts that were out there that have been doing this for 18 years. He said that was the worst body that he has ever seen in his life. He's been doing this for 18 years. That body was burned so bad that in 18 years, that is the worst body he has ever seen. Who would do that to Megan, given that you know her the best? Who would do that?
it was personal. Whoever did it, it was personal. It wasn't something random. It was personal. They didn't want anything left, any kind of traces of anything.
I don't know. I'll give you everything. I'll give you all that.
And Jared, you're gonna go back. You're gonna go back over to the county. You're gonna lay there.
Yeah.
I mean, everything points to you. So the only thing we can do is get an understanding on why.
I didn't do it though. That's the thing. Y'all want to be me so bad. And
I don't. I just want. I want it to be whoever did it.
That's the thing. I mean,
the problem is it's all pointing towards you.
here's the thing.
I would never hurt her like that. That was my best friend. We're together every day.
But here's the thing. Like, I've never met you. He's never met you. I live an hour and a half from here. I don't know anyone in this town.
Can you
Okay.
have a drink? You have anything, water anywhere?
You don't see who's ordering something? I don't know. No, this isn't our office.
But here's the thing. You know, we don't know who you are. I don't know
I'll
anyone.
go look see if there's one in the cafeteria. I'll give you guys a minute.
But like, we don't know anyone around here. Okay. I have nothing personal against you. When I come into these cases, you know, this is now Bamber. They're not working with assisted sled. It's nothing personal. I come in and I'm a hard evidence data person because that stuff doesn't lie.
I understand.
And I know it's hard for you, okay? We're not trying to pin anything on you.
Listen, I didn't hurt her that night.
I know. And I'm not coming here trying to be like, yep, you did it. But I'm just, you got to look at what we're looking at.
I understand. I know everything was bad for me, but I was with that baby that night.
Okay.
Whenever she left, I was with that baby. Whenever things started getting weird the very next morning, it wasn't like I was trying to hide the fact that I didn't know where she was. I reached out in time and it started getting weird to me. I've tried to help in every way possible. I wasn't trying to hide or anything. Do you think if I'd have done, I would have ran?
So that first interview ends with Davis sticking to his story. He didn't do it. He was with the baby. But the evidence might point to him, but he says, you know what, I'm innocent. Now, investigators, they bring him back in for another conversation, and this time, there's a shift. Davis starts talking, and he admits that he and Megan left that night to go get cigarettes, and he admits they were arguing. And then he tells them what happened, or at least a closer version of what happened.
All right, Jared. You know Peter, you know myself. We've talked a couple times. I just read you some warrants. You've had a lot here. You said indicate you want to tell me your side. We'll just let you talk to me, okay? Now tell me what happened.
Well, it wasn't a 410.
Okay.
And when we left that night to go up to the gas station, she was still alive.
Okay.
When I turned around, we went back to the house. We were still out there by the cars. And I had a 38.
Okay.
And whenever we was arguing, I was and then we was arguing, she grabbed it. When she grabbed it, she pulled it to her and said, what about me? And just like that, it went off.
Okay.
And when it went off, it just all happened so fast.
I understand. Well, I told you the other day I felt like something happened.
Yeah.
But
It wasn't like I tried to kill her or not. Like when she grabbed it and pulled it to her, it just went off.
Okay.
And then there's so much blood, she didn't have a pulse.
Right. So what'd you do then, man?
I just got in the car and drove, and we didn't go straight Turnway Road. I wanted to get to the hospital, but she didn't have a pulse, and I was scared. And I passed the hospital, went and took a right, and went down Voorhees, back to Turnway.
Okay. So you come in off 4 East to turn right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And went down there, and my phone was still at the house the whole time. Then when this was happening, my phone was actually in the yard.
Okay.
This happening, and went down there, and then I just lit all the clothes in the back.
Okay. Did you pour any kind of gas or anything on the car?
No,
How did you get from turn rate on the power line back home?
I walked back.
You walked back?
Yeah.
Okay. Nobody else helped you
No.
at all? You got to be relieved. Not as to what happened,
Yeah.
but try to get it off your chest.
Never supposed to happen.
Nah, and domestic stuff always gets tricky, baby. I mean, it always,
Never supposed to happen.
you know, you can love someone with every breath you take, and then, you know, things kind of go bad.
Well, she grabbed the gun and pulled it. I don't know if she hit it or what. It went off.
Why were you
She could do better.
Huh?
She deserved better.
She's done better than you? I wouldn't say that. I mean, so let's back up away from there just a little bit. And during the day, kind of walk me back through that. Was what you told me the other day true about during the day?
Yeah.
You know, y'all had fussed.
Yeah,
I think you said you and Falcon had rode somewhere to come home when she'd thrown some stuff out in the yard.
Oh, that was true. I never tried forcing my way in her house. Nothing like that. The guy had a key.
Okay.
I went to her house. We talked. Everything was fine.
Okay.
All that was truth. All that was the truth.
After y'all left her house,
She went back to my house, and she took a shower. Was getting ready to go to a baseball game. I went down to my grandma's.
Okay.
All that was true. Went to a baseball game. That was true. Went to Walmart and tried to spy that. That was true. Went back to the house. Everything was fine. Bubba came. All that was true.
And Bubba's Bubba Bryant.
Yeah.
Okay. What did Bubba come there for?
Get a converter.
Bubba didn't help you do anything or see
No.
anything, witness anything. None of your friends helped you.
No.
Okay.
There's nobody else involved.
So Bubba comes to your house, grabs a converter,
Leaves.
and leaves.
She was still alive then.
When did y'all start arguing again?
It was after we had sex.
So y'all have sex. Is
All
that
was
part true?
Yeah, all that was true.
Okay.
And then the reason why she was mad was true. Got a whooping nut in her. All that was true.
Okay.
But it was never supposed to happen like that.
And what did you do with her then? What did you do?
I grabbed her and I started yelling, and just there was so much blood. And I checked the pulse, and she didn't have pulse. And I went and checked on the baby, and I went to go take her to the hospital. But she was already gone.
All right. Did you take her out of the driver's seat or out of the
No.
bus? How'd you take her to the hospital?
I just scooted over.
You just kind of slid in beside her?
Yeah.
Okay. Where was the baby at then? Did you leave the baby home panicky or did you?
No, the baby was already in a seat from us going earlier.
I got you. So she hadn't even taken the baby out of the seat in the car. Okay.
Well, no, the baby was inside, but was still in the car. And that's what happened.
So you grabbed a car seat, put it in the car, and you start at the hospital. You realize.
Yeah, and I just panicked.
And how'd you get the baby back home? Would you
I carried it home.
carry the baby all the way home in the car seat? Mm-hmm. Got you. So when I'm trying to understand, when you kind of slid her over in the car and got in and drive, she's actually still in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
With you sitting beside her, kind of laid over. What did she lay like? Laid over the console or laid back or? Okay. So you realize it's gone. You panic. You go down. Turn right.
And I go down, take a right. I go around the curve where it turns 35
Yeah.
in Denmark. And
Yeah.
do that first right. And
Back over to Voorhees. So you come
took
back.
another right. You go down Voorhees, and I went down turn right. I took a right on the turn right.
Okay.
And I was going back to the house, but then I realized that, what am I going to do at the house?
Gotcha.
And I just pulled off in that gut and grabbed a baby and just let everything in the ladder.
Okay.
I didn't have no gas, I didn't have nothing like that. Just a bunch of clothes in the car. That's what I lit.
Gotcha. What did you do with the pistol?
Put the pistol in the trash can,
Which one?
the house trash.
Is it still there? We've got the pistol for you.
Nobody got a pistol for me. I got all the trash together, all the trash cans outside and everything else. And Earl took it off for me.
Earl took trash off.
He didn't know the pistol was in there. He didn't know anything about that.
Gotcha.
So here's his news story. They were arguing by the car. She was in the driver's seat. He was at the door. She grabbed the gun. It went off. He says he checked for a pulse. Nothing. So he did the only thing that he could think of. He scooted her body over, got in, drove toward the hospital at first, but then he passed it and just kept going.
So she's only shot a single time. Is that correct?
I was with 38, I wasn't with 14.
Gotcha. And you're standing beside her car,
Yeah.
and you got the gun. How do you have the gun?
I just had the gun just holding it just in my hand.
Okay. You told her you was going.
And when we were talking, just yelling back and forth, she grabbed it and just pulled it to her. And she said, what about, I think she would say, what about me? And then it just went off.
Gotcha.
She just went limp. So I was just trying to get her to leave.
What'd you tell her?
So I was just going to eliminate the problem.
And you felt like you were the problem.
Yeah.
What drove you to that point? I mean, what drove you to make you feel that about
Just always letting
yourself?
everybody down.
Huh?
Just always letting everybody down. Just be a piece of
But you're not, you know?
golly. I wish you would have just left that night.
There's a lot of folks that are in similar situations. And that's domestics, just it's hard. It's hard when you love somebody. You got kids, you love your kids. Sometimes it's hard to stop long enough to look at and say, you know, the best that we could probably be better for each other apart. And it reaches the point that it just kind of boils over or
But none of that was never intentional. None of that was never intentional.
Was she talking to anybody? Had she sent anybody anything, any message or anything that you know of? Or she yelled anything to anybody? No? So she wasn't on her phone or nothing? No. I got you.
Well, I appreciate you meeting with us, you know. I mean, I know it's a lot, but, you know, now your kids can look at you as being an honest man. And, I mean, seriously, you got to think about that. They're going to be able to know that their dad was an honest man and did the right thing. And I think that should mean a lot to you. You know? It really should.
And this is a process. There's a process that we've got to go through. You know, when the solicitor or whoever is handling things, you know, myself and Peter could sit down and say, you know, listen, he came forward and he said what his side of things. He took responsibility. Okay? But there is a process. You got anything you want, anything that I haven't asked you? It's all right, babe. It's all right. It's all right. You got anything you want to ask us? Anything we can try to answer for you? And what you're telling us now is 100% what happened.
But even that version, the accident, the panic, the fire, it's still not the whole truth. So investigators, they bring Davis in for a third interview, and this time they have video. They tell him straight up, the DVR does record. They've seen what happened. They know he chased her. They know she tried to get away. They give him one last chance to get it off his chest, and finally, he starts to seemingly fill in the gaps.
We've been working on this nonstop, and I appreciate you manning up and telling us what you did tell us. We've just got a couple inconsistencies we need to clear up. And I know this is weighing on you. Remember how you said DVR don't record?
Yeah.
It does.
Okay.
What you told us don't match. You want to just get it off your chest and tell us what really happened. I mean, I can show you the video.
What do you mean? Like what?
Of you chasing her down, dragging her lifeless body back to the car and fumbling and trying to get it in the car. You didn't shoot her in the car like you said.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be weighing on you because you've given a half-truth, but you still have to have, I mean, you're human.
Yeah.
I know you love your baby. I know you loved her. It's just, we're at this point. We just need to know the truth. It's not going to change the outcome. I mean, you could tell, no, I'm not going to say nothing. I mean, everything still moves forward. I'm giving you a chance to get it off your chest, and that way we can know exactly what happened, and this stuff doesn't get all drug out in court in front of her family, and, you know, you just don't want all that. I mean, do you want to tell me what really happened?
Well, the gun did accidentally go off. That was an accident. That honestly was an accident.
But you chased her down with the gun. I mean, she knew you had that gun because she come out that door, saw that gun, and took off running.
No, she got off running because I had her keys. She was going to the neighbor's house. That's why I was leaving in the car.
And you left for a while and then came back with the car.
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
That's when I was going to the hospital, but
Why didn't you put her in the passenger seat? Why'd you put her in the driver's seat?
that was just the closest door.
How many times did you shoot her?
Once. When the gun accidentally went off, it
Was it a hollow point? Or was it
just regular.
just a regular target ammo?
Yeah.
Called ball ammo?
Where did it hit her? On the left side
It'll be her right side.
or right side? Right neck.
And investigators have forensic evidence now, and they tell Davis what they recovered contradicts everything he just said about a gun going off by accident. And they ask him about the sawed-off 410. They ask why he changed clothes multiple times that night, why he put on a black ski mask, why he ran back and forth from the house to the car. And they ask the question that cuts through every excuse he's made. Where was the baby during all this?
What would you say if I told you they recovered rat shot from her brain? Or buckshot? I mean, could have been from a 410, could have been rat shot in a 38. I mean, we see you drop the gun, so we knew you had a black handgun. You didn't lie about that. You know, everybody talks about your sawed-off shotgun, your 410. Where's that at? Because I know it was there just before we got there. Someone saw it.
I got all of that out from the trash.
The 410?
What number? Probably as long as that.
That night?
The 410 and the handgun got thrown out in the trash? Because I got somebody telling me they saw that gun in your shop right before we arrived.
No.
Okay.
So did you use the 410 at all that night? Like after the fact? Kind of.
Not at all.
Why didn't you call us?
I was scared, honestly.
I mean, if it's an accident, I mean, if my wife and I were fighting and I had a gun and she grabbed it and went off, I'd be calling the ambulance. I mean, that's what's got you in a pickle.
Yeah, I know. But in all honesty, I was scared.
I mean, you changed your clothes I don't know how many times. Then the black ski mask and black clothes, what was all that for? To get back to the house and people not recognize you?
Yeah.
And you still want to say that you just lit some clothes and didn't use an accelerant? Because, mind you, Sled Arson has completed their report on the findings of the vehicle and the ground and everything else. So what did you use to set the fire?
Oil.
Oil? Okay.
I used motor oil.
Is that what you're getting out of the shop?
It wasn't in the shop.
Well, like I said, the camera shows you running back and
No, yeah, but it
back.
wasn't in the shop. It was right. If you're looking at the front of the shop, it's like to the left where that grill is.
Gotcha. Where's the baby during all this?
Inside.
Okay. Where's the baby when you took the car down? Leave the baby at the house?
Yeah.
Okay. That's important. You know, it's like I said, you're a human, not a monster. Couldn't see the baby in the car, but I couldn't imagine you doing all that with the baby in the car. So I got a notebook prepared.
So the timeline. I just want to make sure I'm accurate. So you said the gun went off, dragged your body to the car, you left. You said you were heading towards the hospital?
The first time I was about to pull up with my grandparents,
Okay.
but I didn't want to do that then. So then I went to go towards the hospital, and then I was checking her pulse and everything, looking at her. She was, you know what I'm saying? It was. So I turned around, like half.
Bullfrog Road.
No, it was no. I turned around on Highway 70. As a U-turn
Past the hospital or before the hospital?
before the hospital. It was like turn right and hospital. It was right in the middle of them. It was right before you got them trailers.
And then you went back to the house to try to figure out what your next move was going to be. Yeah, you should have pulled in the hospital, but I'm sure you're beating yourself up about it constantly.
So now he gives the clearest description yet of what happened in those final moments. She was yelling. He was walking back toward her. He turned around, saying he was trying to calm her down, and that's when the gun went off.
Got one more thing I want to know what this is.
What's that in your hand?
That looks like
A belt. That's when you're
To the
chasing
left.
after your left hand. That's
So I had clothes in my hand. I had her keys, and I had a shirt in my hand.
So it looks like something like long. Like when you watch this video, it looks like it's long.
I had a shirt in my hand. I had her keys in my hand. I had my phone, my wallet stuff, and her keys, and a shirt. I was wearing a tank top, like a wife beater.
And you had her phone or your phone?
I had my phone. Her phone she had, and then
what was in her pocket?
I think she was holding it. She didn't have pockets.
You just
But whenever it happened, I grabbed it off the ground.
put it in the car with her.
Yeah, it was in the car with her.
So I know it's gonna be hard, but I need you to try to walk me through when you're running over there to her. What happens? Like, how does the gun go off? I mean, are you like close with her? Like, just trying to. I know it's gonna be hard. Just try to walk me through a little bit of how that went down.
We were walking back. She was yelling, and I was walking back, and then I turned to her, and I just wouldn't put my hands up. Like I just wanted to really wanted to like, grab her face so she'd chill out, and the gun went off.
How long did it take her to die?
Well, to me, it was like instantly,
Ain't no sounds, no nothing.
and just
So she never saw it coming.
Did you have any idea we'd probably get footage of kind of what took place? I mean, I know you said you couldn't get into it, but
yeah.
anything else you can think of? We just want to make sure we kind of get a clear picture because, it's a tough situation, but, we've been honest with you, you've been honest with us. I mean, you got nothing to lose at this point. We just want to make sure, if someone knew something and someone else, we just got to know everything because, you know how this community is. The rumor mills are spreading. People are trying to accuse other people of, being your accomplices, helping out with stuff and knowing stuff and help set it up. And it's just like, I'm trying to prevent someone else from getting shot because they think that someone else helped you.
So as this interview winds down, Davis talks about apologizing to his baby. And then quietly, he says it. It was a mistake.
You know what they say, the truth shall set you free. And that's why we're giving you the chance. So this is the same story you're going to give it to God one day when you look at him face to face. He knows. Now,
But I said, because of anybody helping or knowing, and
That's my big thing right now.
I ain't tell a soul, not nobody, anything. Trying to apologize to my baby.
And, I know what happened, but, you're being an honest man to us. And we know what happened. You know, that's the thing. I mean, it sucks what happened, but you can't take it back. But it was a mistake, and that, you know, you're not this terrible person. You know what I mean? So I know it's hard. So, but no, I know the pictures are important to you. I know you mentioned that last time, so I wanted to print those off for you. So,
Thank you.
you know, we're not, I know people think SLED and the police are these terrible people, but, you know, we're just trying to figure everything out and, you know, give closure to people. So we can't take back what happened, but you can make that future right, so.
In the end, Jared Davis didn't take his chances at a trial. According to court records, on November 10th, 2025, he pleaded guilty to murder, possession of a weapon during a violent crime, arson, and desecration of human remains. A judge sentenced him to 43 years in prison for the murder with additional time on the other charges, meaning running at the same time. He's going to spend decades behind bars. As for Megan's 3 daughters, they're left to grow up without their mother. There's a GoFundMe that has been set up in her memory to help support her 3 daughters. That's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you should get your podcasts. You can also check us out on NBC's Peacock as well. We have Sidebar episodes up there as well. If you want to follow me, X, Instagram, my News Nation show, Jesse Weber Live, Monday through Friday at 11 p.m. Eastern. I'll see you next time, everybody. Breaking news in the child sex crimes case of actor Timothy Busfield. He has just been officially indicted. We're bringing you the very latest right now. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. All right, so breaking news in our continuing coverage of actor, director, producer Timothy Busfield. He has officially been indicted by a grand jury on sex crimes charges out in New Mexico. 4 counts of criminal sexual contact of a child. Now, this is not surprising. This is the next stage of the criminal process out there after he was arrested for allegedly inappropriately touching twin boys on the set of the Fox series, The Cleaning Lady. We knew this was going to happen. It was announced that they were going forward with a grand jury. Remember, there was already an arrest warrant out for him. Shows up in New Mexico. He's arrested. He was actually released from pretrial detention. But let's talk about this for a second. So a grand jury indictment, this means that a majority of the jurors found there was sufficient probable cause that a crime or crimes were committed, okay? And what exactly are we talking about? Criminal sexual contact of a child. I looked it up. This is what it says. Criminal sexual contact of a minor is the unlawful and intentional touching of or applying force to the intimate parts of a minor, or the unlawful and intentional causing of a minor to touch one's intimate parts. And for the purposes of this section, intimate parts means the primary genital area, groin, buttocks, anus, or breast. Okay. Now, the DA's office released a statement on Friday when this came out. Bernalillo County District Attorney Sam Bregman announced today that a Bernalillo County grand jury indicted Timothy Busfield, and then it lists out the counts. As with all criminal proceedings, Mr. Busfield is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty in a court of law. The case will proceed through the judicial process and is expected to move forward to trial. The case will be prosecuted by the Special Victims Unit of the Bernalillo County District Attorney's Office. District Attorney Sam Bregman emphasized that protecting children remains a top priority for his office. The Bernalillo County District Attorney's Office remains committed to doing everything possible to protect children and ensure justice for victims. No further information is being released at this time. Now, Busfield's defense, they have gone on the defensive, okay? So to give you an example, they argued in a motion opposing pretrial detention, quote, the criminal complaint was driven not by evidence, but by the efforts of parents with a documented record of deception and financial exploitation to manufacture leverage after losing a 6-figure income stream. So basically the allegation being that this was spearheaded by the parents. These are allegations that stem from them being upset that the boys were removed from the show and that they have a documented history, an alleged documented history of deception. And I want to go into that a little bit because if you're not familiar with the case, if you don't know more details of it, here's what we're going to do. This is our previous coverage of the case. It gives you a better insight into what all of this is about, particularly there was some very interesting evidence that came out about what these boys allegedly told law enforcement in 2024 about this. And that can complicate the case a little bit, but we go into it a little bit more. Take a listen. The 68-year-old has been charged with 2 counts of criminal sexual contact with a minor and 1 count of child abuse for allegedly inappropriately touching 2 11-year-old twin child actors, boys, on the set of the Fox series The Cleaning Lady from a few years ago. And this is, by the way, where he served as executive producer and director. One of the boys claims that he touched his private areas. According to a therapist, or according to therapist notes, this boy has been diagnosed with PTSD and anxiety. In fact, according to a 13-page arrest warrant, the boy had, quote, nightmares about the director touching him and waking up scared. And so when it came time to determine whether or not Timothy Busfield would be released pending trial, here's what happened. Now, to be clear, at the time of this recording, they haven't made a decision yet in terms of if he's going to be released from jail pending trial. But just to give you an idea, here's a snippet of what one of the prosecutors had to say about Timothy Busfield.
The state is requesting that this court find the defendant dangerous and that there are no conditions of release that this court can impose to secure the safety of this community. Pretrial detention is not a credibility trial. It's not a civil damages dispute, nor is it the studio's internal investigation. It's whether the defendant is dangerous and if the court can impose conditions to secure the safety of the community.
Every aspect of the state's case is flawed. Every aspect of the state's case is questionable. I don't need to tell the court this, but my client is presumed innocent. As he sits here today, he is an innocent man. And I have significant concerns about the prosecution talking as if he has already been convicted. She referred to the people who wrote letters of support. She said, quote, "They don't believe when victims come forward." It's our legal system that starts from the position of saying, we don't believe. It must be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. The question before the court today is the court going to hold Mr. Busfield in custody pending the trial in this matter, if we ever get that far? There has not yet been an indictment. It wasn't simply that the children did not disclose sexual abuse. They flat out denied it. They said, no, it didn't happen. The fact is that the criminal complaint in this case is slanted. It is slanted to bolster the state's case and omit exculpatory evidence.
Now, here's what I want to talk about. I want to put all of this into context because before that hearing came up, before that decision was made, there is a lot about this case that just came out. A lot to talk about since our last episode of Sidebar. Because this one, I have to tell you, is not so black and white. This one feels a little different because I'll start with this. This just came out. Originally, the boys were interviewed by authorities in November of 2024. This is when police were called to the University of New Mexico Hospital. The allegation was the boys were groomed by Timothy Busfield, who they apparently called Uncle Tim, that he would tickle them, talking maybe 7 or 8 years old. But now this is important. They initially denied that anything sexual happened, and that is important because just now, Busfield, as part of his push to be released from jail pending trial, he had these audio tapes of the interview released. And I want you to take a listen.
So, you know what's right and wrong, right?
Yeah.
You know no one could touch your private areas?
Yeah, but he doesn't touch that part.
Doesn't touch your private parts? Okay. Okay. And you know what's right and wrong, right? You know where people can't touch, where people can't do. Yeah, you know that, right? Does Tim ever do that?
No, he's never touched me.
Never touched you?
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about that, okay? We're going to talk about that. But to be clear, let's be clear about something. Victims, or alleged victims, there are times they will first deny being abused. They may say it never happened. There's a number of reasons that can happen. And they might not mention it and then come forward months later, days later, years later. That happens. But there is two parts to this, right? It does go to credibility. There could be a situation where they're not telling the truth, and there might be motivating factors, and that's what we're going to get into. But even so, I mean, this has to be considered. This has to be considered because I have to get into a lot of the things that Busfield has been bringing up. You know, since there was no further evidence of sexual contact back in 2024, the investigation really didn't go anywhere. That was until October of 2025. That's when things changed because the boy's mother apparently filed a report against Busfield with CPS, Child Protective Services. And this is when one of the boys then claimed that Busfield did in fact touch his private area over his clothes and was, quote, afraid to tell anyone because Tim was the director and he feared Tim would get mad at him. So after conducting these interviews and reportedly talking to some members of the Cleaning Lady production crew, an investigator in this case secured an arrest warrant. Now, in anticipation of that hearing to determine whether Busfield would be released pending trial, his team submitted an over 200-page filing to get out of jail. And a big part of that filing is seemingly trying to tarnish the credibility of these two boys' parents. And this is new from the last time we covered this. So in Busfield's filing, arguing again that he should be released, he claims essentially that these parents are fraudsters and stage parents. You're talking about parents who have been identified as Angel LaSalle and Ronald Rodas. And they even cite how, according to them, LaSalle allegedly was heard saying to somebody that she wanted to get, quote, revenge on Busfield, potentially because the boys were replaced by another child actor in the show, that's what the motivation here is. Quote, the state offers no reliable proof, only allegations advanced by witnesses with documented histories of fraud and financial exploitation, contradicted by a comprehensive studio investigation and refuted by witnesses and objective risk assessments. I'm going to get into all that. But the prosecution's case, they claim, the defense claims, quote, rests almost entirely on the accounts of two stage parents. They're not neutral observers. Their allegations emerged only after the loss of the twins' role and only after consultation with civil counsel, creating an obvious financial and retaliatory motive. That motive must be evaluated against the couple's well-documented history of fraud and dishonesty. So what is Busfield referring to with respect to these parents? Well, Busfield claims, if you take the father here, Rodas, essentially the claim is, the allegation is that he changes his story when money's on the table, and that he's doing this for financial gain, saying Rodas, quote, is a former attorney who was convicted of federal conspiracy and wire fraud and was later disbarred following that prosecution for a multi-million-dollar scheme in which he used his law license to deceive vulnerable victims for profit. And they cite how Rodas previously pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud, where he reportedly, quote, defrauded more than 1,500 homeowners of approximately $6 million. And that, again, is according to the filing that was obtained by outlets like People magazine. But Busfield also cites in this filing how apparently a member of the Cleaning Lady production crew, who apparently knew Rodas, called him, quote, pushy and manipulative, and that he would, quote, frequently encourage and tell the children to hug people on set, including Mr. Busfield. So you're kind of seeing where a defense may be going here and what we might see at a trial. But what about the boy's mother, right? Busfield is not only going against the father, he's also going after the mother. So Busfield claims that she, quote, has had multiple civil judgments entered against her for fraudulent and dishonest behavior, claiming that she was sued for, quote, various claims including fraud, conversion, fraudulent transfer, and making the allegation that she illegally repossessed a car, that she wrote bad checks to casinos. Quote, the fact of the matter is that the parents driving the allegations against Mr. Busfield have an extraordinarily checkered past that casts enormous doubt on the truthfulness of their statements. The timeline does not indicate an investigation naturally unfolding, but instead an express effort to seek revenge against Mr. Busfield after losing the lucrative opportunity that came with their children's acting on The Cleaning Lady. Now, I'm going to get into in a little bit if any of this is going to come into a trial, but it is important to talk about in the context of this whole story, and by the way, in terms of, him trying to fight for his release. I do have to cite something else, though. I think this is important. So apparently, Warner Brothers, who was a partner in the production of this TV show, also had an independent outside investigation conducted. And apparently, that investigation found, quote, no corroborating evidence of inappropriate conduct. And in Busfield's opposition filing, he even claims that the investigation, quote, found not only that allegations against Mr. Busfield were unfounded, but also that LaSalle, the mother, after hearing that her children might not be returning for a fourth season, stated to the show's lead actor that she would, quote, get her revenge against Tim Busfield. Now there's more. In the filing, his legal team argued that Busfield recently passed a polygraph test, and this is when he was asked questions about these allegations. They also claim that the findings of a psychosexual evaluation concluded that Busfield, quote, does not appear to have a sexual attraction to prepubescent or adolescent males or females. Is this relevant to the case? We'll talk about that too. And then I got to mention this as well. You have Busfield's wife, actress Melissa Gilbert, Little House on the Prairie. So she writes a letter to the court in anticipation of this detention hearing. And you don't see this every day, okay? Sometimes family members, they choose to remain silent. They say, I'm not going to say anything. I just want to respect our family's privacy at this time. Apparently submits a letter to the court saying, quote, Tim has the strongest moral compass of any human I have ever known. He has dedicated his spiritual self to always being of service to others. He starts every day with kindness and compassion. And every single set where Tim is working, multiple people come up to me to tell me he is their favorite director ever. Your Honor, this is the strangest letter I've ever had to write. I'm trying to toe a line between logic and all the feelings swirling through me. I began this letter with logic, but now the feelings have taken over. I can't help it. I only want this extraordinary man safe and whole. And then you have the prosecution. So first, you can even cite the detective who looked into this case and in the paperwork in support of the arrest said, in my training and experience, pedophiles often infiltrate families under a trusted role like Timothy, who as a producer exploited the hectic film sets to essentially sexually abuse and masked it as play. And prosecutors, they also cite to what they call Busfield's, quote, documented pattern of sexual misconduct, abuse of authority, and grooming behavior. And they cite previous allegations against him, like how back in the 1990s, a 17-year-old accused him of sexual assault on the set of Little Big League. Or how about in 2012, when a 28-year-old woman accused him of groping her in a movie theater. Now, to be clear, there were no criminal charges that were ever filed in connection with either alleged episode. And by the way, that also includes this other allegation because it just came out that the father of a 16-year-old girl came forward saying that Busfield sexually assaulted his daughter several years ago, and that at the time, Busfield had begged them not to go to the police if he promised to go to therapy. Again, no criminal charges were filed in connection with that. Now, I will tell you, Busfield's attorneys also fought back against that. For example, with the 17-year-old, they claim they have a witness who will say or has said that the girl's father had this TV pilot that he wanted pitched and allegedly said they're going to love it because Tim Busfield is going to present it to them, which I'm certain he will do because he will need to if he thinks he's going to bleep my daughter. So obviously credibility is at the center stage of this case. The fallout, though, despite all of that, has already been intense because he's fighting two battles here. The battle in the court of law and the court of public opinion, right? So NBC chose not to air an upcoming episode of Law & Order SVU featuring Busfield. TMZ just announced that he's being edited out of an upcoming Amazon MGM film, You Deserve Each Other. His agency, Innovative Artists, apparently he's been with them for years, dropped him as a client. So the fallout has been intense. With all that in mind, let's discuss. All right, let me bring in criminal defense attorney from New Mexico, John Day. John, thank you so much for coming on to talk about this. I mean, this is right in your jurisdiction. I'm so happy to have you on. I have to tell you, the allegations are incredibly disturbing. I mean, there are cases that are built purely on the testimony of the accusers and sometimes child abuse accusers. I have to tell you, though, there are aspects of this that I think give you pause. And the audio comes out. Let's start there. The audio comes out. There's one thing to read that in November of 2024, they described what initially had happened, this kind of tickling, this Uncle Tim denied that there was any kind of sexual contact. But then you hear the audio. What do you think the value of that audio is? What did you take away from it?
Right. Well, thanks for having me. There's so much to unpack here. Initially, this audio, and it's a police interview of the two young boys. And the officer's very direct, asks the boys, did Timothy Busfield touch you in any inappropriate way? The answers seem very direct. The boys say, no, he never touched us. So apparently after that, within a year after that, according to the district attorney, the boys had gone through some kind of therapy, some kind of counseling. And there were, according to the prosecutors, disclosures that were the opposite of that. But when you listen to this initial audio, there doesn't seem to be any hesitation. The boys are really clear when they deny that there was any inappropriate touching. And of course, the defense, Busfield's defense, is using this to push back real vigorously, of course, and to the idea that somehow Busfield committed these crimes. And not only does it apply to the charges, but this is what Busfield's team is using to try to convince, of course, the judge to let him out of custody pending trial, which could be a year down the road. So a strategic release of discovery by Busfield's lawyers, they think it's going to really help them.
They're incredibly aggressive, even in this initial stage of the case, because he's fighting two battles here, right? He's fighting a battle in the court of law and the court of public opinion. I mean, I think a big part of this we've seen with celebrities before is they don't necessarily just remain quiet. Before he even turns himself in, films a video denying the accusations. His lawyer puts out a statement denying the accusations. They file this over 200-page opposition filing, really trying to tarnish the credibility of the parents. And I'll get into that in a minute. There is two things here, right? When you listen to the audio and you hear the fact that the boys initially in November of 2024 didn't tell authorities, one way could be, yeah, this is not true. The parents pushed them to come forward with it, or they really didn't admit what actually happened to them. And sometimes it takes therapy, and sometimes it takes someone to make them feel safe that they can come forward and say what actually happened to them. I imagine that might be difficult for a jury to consider, but in your perspective, do you think that there is still a strong possibility that these boys were abused, and it makes sense that they didn't initially come forward with the abuse allegations?
So I've prosecuted a lot of these cases when I was a prosecutor, and that's true. That's a thing. The idea that there can be disclosures that don't occur until after there's an appropriate level of counseling, an appropriate level of treatment by a medical professional. So, you've got to remain skeptical throughout this entire case. I think of both sides, of the prosecution's case and the defense case, because there's so much here. It's a he said, she said case where the defense has to try to systematically undermine the credibility of all the he said people. They're going after not only the fact that there's this tape, this audio of the boys denying any touching, but in their pleadings, the defense has also gone after the parents, alleging with a factual basis that the father was a former lawyer in California who lost his law license. He had been convicted of fraud. They alleged that the mother's engaged in fraudster activities. They're really trying to systematically undercut the credibility of the parents who brought this. And they have a lot of detail that backs up the defense. So I'm skeptical, as I always am, in going into a case. But in this case, the defense has a lot of ammunition and to support what they're alleging.
Can we talk about that? All the allegations against the parents, is that relevant? Would that be used as a defense at trial, or would that only come in if the parents decided to testify and you could maybe bring that in to cross-examine them and question their credibility?
Right. Well, the defense is going to do everything it can to get every single element of their claims in front of a jury if it gets to that point, because what they're alleging is that the parents have put together this scam against Busfield, and they have statements from people who were associated with the production. They have the fact that the parents, at least the father, has this conviction in federal court in California for fraud. And so they want to be able to use that in every way they can. Now, whether it comes in unless the parents don't testify, that's another story. That's going to come up, in pretrial motions as this thing moves along. But what they're doing right now is they're in the court of public opinion and they're fighting back. Remember, prosecutors are constrained to what they can say publicly about a case. They have limits on what they can go in front of a camera and say about their case, other than, we believe we have a strong case, we believe we have evidence. They kind of have to limit it to that, because prosecutors it's very different for defense lawyers. Prosecutors can't really try their case the way that the defense lawyers can in the court of public opinion. That's why we're seeing Busfield's team full steam ahead on this stuff, bringing up all the parents' history, releasing this audio that they've obtained in discovery from the DA's office. So this is a real concerted and aggressive strategy by the defense to try to convince people early on that there's nothing here.
How'd they get this so quickly? They prepared an over 200-page opposition filing so quickly, all these details about the parents, the audio recordings. Do you think there's a possibility Busfield knew these charges were coming? Or was it all, hey, we knew there was an arrest warrant and he was trying to get counsel, and before he turned himself in, they were all already drafting this and planning it?
Right. What we know is there was an interview of Busfield by law enforcement back in the fall, back in October. So he knew. And what's interesting about that is he fully cooperated. He didn't have his lawyer with him, which is another issue, I think. But he gave this long, detailed interview to the police back in October. So he had some sense that there was something coming down the pike here. And he's got a very aggressive team in LA and in New Mexico. New Mexico lawyers are really first-rate defense lawyers. So what he's done is he's had some notice that something's happening. And this audio, for example, of the boys denying any touching would have been turned over by the DA's office prior to his detention hearing today. So the defense team had this information. The strategic release of that, you can understand it from a defense perspective. They have something basically, in their view, exonerates Busfield. So why not get it out in public? It's audio. It's almost as good as a video of the same thing.
What about the idea, let's go through this piece by piece, the results of that psychosexual evaluation, that he's low risk, that he doesn't appear to have a sexual attraction to prepubescent or adolescent males or females. Let's start there. What are your thoughts on that psychosexual evaluation, if those results are true, by the way?
Right. I mean, that's open to interpretation. Of course, the other side, the prosecution is going to say, well, you pay an expert enough, you'll get whatever, they'll tell you what you want to hear. But apparently the credibility and the credentials of the person who are conducting it seem to be very legitimate. So that's one tool that the defense has. The other thing that they did, and this is interesting, New Mexico is one of the very few states that allows admissibility of polygraph exams. I use polygraph exams a lot in New Mexico. There's a procedure to get it in front of the judge, in front of the jury. Of course, the prosecution is going to fight back. But in my experience, the jury, if they're educated on the science of polygraphs, if they're educated on what this is all about, it's certainly an interesting issue. Remember, look, the U.S. government believes in polygraphs. The FBI and the CIA use them extensively. So whatever you think about them, there's a really good chance that his results are going to come in.
Are they reliable?
I think they're reliable, but I'm biased because I use them in a lot of cases. And the people I use as polygraphers, including the guy who did Busfield's exam, they know that their reputations and their business is on the line. So they are very, very tough on the subjects who do the polygraphs. And they don't give scores, in my experience anyway, they don't give good scores to people who don't deserve good scores on these exams. So, it depends on your perspective. Personally, I think there's a lot of value to a polygraph. And in my case, I use them. I ask people, would you take a polygraph? There's some people who say, absolutely, I want to clear my name. Let's do it today. There are other people who say, I'm not really good on tests, so I'm not so sure about that. That in itself is a good defining moment. But in my experience, they're useful. And the guy who did this exam in Albuquerque for Busfield has a really good reputation.
This, talk about reliability, this independent investigation that was authored or conducted through Warner Brothers, I believe they hired an outside law firm, apparently found no corroborating evidence that he had inappropriately touched these boys. And according to Busfield, their interpretation also was that the investigation found questioning the parents' motives here, right? Is that, you would say, okay, how reliable is that? Because it's being conducted, this independent investigation, it's not the same as law enforcement. Then again, it's supposed to be an objective, independent investigation by a law firm. What are your takeaways on that?
So Busfield's defense folks are going to argue, look, Warner Brothers, there's a lot on the line for Warner Brothers. They want the best possible investigation that they can. They want to know what's going on because they have a lot of exposure. So they hire an outside law firm that obviously has experience in this kind of stuff. The result they get favors Busfield. Prosecution, of course, is going to argue, well, the motive behind the investigation was to cover the behinds of Warner Brothers, and so you have to discount anything that doesn't support the prosecution in this case. But it's a fascinating pre-arrest, pre-charge investigation by civil lawyers into this, and it's going to be used by the Busfield people to bolster their defense. The prosecution, the DA's office is looking for anything they can to discredit that and say, well, they weren't law enforcement officers, they didn't have the full story, whatever they're going to say. But it's another tool for Busfield and his incredibly aggressive defense team to use to try to discount the allegations.
I thought it was really interesting also that Melissa Gilbert came forward, because many times in these kinds of cases, the family members, the spouses, they'll say, no comment at this time, we want to remain private. She submitted a letter to the court talking about his moral compass, fully supporting him. What were your thoughts on that?
Well, look, this is the little girl star of Little House on the Prairie from years back. There's a lot of credibility, at least in the eyes of Busfield's defense team, of this woman who is standing by Busfield and saying, I know this guy, this is not him. It's a smart move by the defense. She has credibility. She has a presence. She's known within the country or with the entertainment industry. And her letter was unequivocal. It's like, this guy didn't do it. I know him. You got to believe him. It's okay for the family, for the spouse to do that. Now, whether it has any effect on anybody remains to be seen. But you have to look at what Busfield's team has done in a relatively short period of time to try to push back against the DA's allegations. And having people from the entertainment industry who have worked with him certainly cuts against the claims that the DA has put out about these alleged prior incidents that Busfield was engaged in. So, I mean, this really is a battle of both sides are ready for the fight. And it's been really interesting to see how they're preparing for this and how aggressive they're being.
And you mentioned the prosecution allegations. We both know that when it comes to a detention analysis, the prosecution can put in a lot more evidence than maybe they can put in during a trial. You're seeing all these past allegations of Busfield, right? The 17-year-old, the 28-year-old, now the 16-year-old. How relevant is that going to be in the actual criminal case? Because, again, they're putting it in to suggest this is a pattern. This guy should not be let out. This is, even though, no criminal charges had been asserted for many of those prior instances, they are significant for that consideration for the detention analysis. But how significant are they going to be in an upcoming trial?
I think it's unlikely that in a trial, these allegations, because they are not, they don't involve the same facts in terms of touching underage boys. There's nothing apparently in the previous allegations that involved touching underage boys. They involve females apparently. And I think there's some question about some of the facts surrounding these allegations. One of them was 30 years old. But remember, there was another recent trial where prior allegations came in the Harvey Weinstein trial. The judge let those in. Appeals court overturned it on the grounds that those things shouldn't have come in. So this is always an open question. It'd be interesting to see where that goes with this. But again, this is part of the DA strategy to throw everything they can about Busfield against the public wall to see what sticks. You understand why the prosecutors have included this, but it also raises questions again about the facts surrounding those other allegations, and Busfield's team is certainly going full steam ahead challenging those. So you got a DA's office that's constrained about what they can do publicly. Defense lawyers, not so much. That's why we're seeing such an aggressive public pushback by Busfield's team. They don't have the same restrictions that a prosecutor does about going public with this stuff.
And I just want to go full circle. This case is very much built on the testimony, the accounts of these two young boys. Having said that, it's not just them, right? You have the therapist notes, you have a detective who looked at everything and conducted interviews and believes that Busfield did this. I mean, how much is this if somebody hears this story and says, oh, wait, this is all based on the accounts of these two young boys? But I think there's more here. I think that it's complicated when you think about their ages, but also I think this is a very complicated case in and of itself. But wouldn't you agree that the credibility of these two boys could potentially be supported by everything else that we're seeing?
I do. And as I said, when I was a prosecutor, prosecuted cases where the initial disclosures were not the result of, treatment and the ability to have professional people talk to you about something that happened. I've certainly seen it where there's an initial declination. Nothing happened to me. I don't want to talk about it. There's no crime here. But as those boys, for example, maybe got into therapy, with professional medical help, things came out that didn't come out initially. I have seen that happen. But, at the end of the day, one of the things you got to remember is allegations by the prosecution that these boys were touched inappropriately, sexually, and harmed that way. Allegations by the defense that these boys are being manipulated by their parents or whoever. Either way, the victims are the boys. They're either being manipulated or they were touched. It's one of those two things. And that's what's really tragic about this. At the very end in the final analysis, the two boys are the victims one way or the other. And that's really heartbreaking, tragic.
That's a really, really good point. I'm glad you mentioned that. John Day, let's see where this goes. Thank you so much.
Good to see you.
And that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can watch us, by the way, on NBC's Peacock. We have episodes always coming out there. If you want to follow me, X, Instagram, you can watch my show on News Nation, Jesse Weber Live. Until next time, I'm Jesse Weber, and I'll speak to you then. One of David's friends has just been arrested out in Montana. Let's discuss. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Okay, breaking news. We're literally jumping on right now. We're getting information as I'm recording, but TMZ has reported that a friend of singer David, somebody we've talked about a lot here on Sidebar, this guy named Neo Langston has been arrested out in Montana. Now, it seems to be for failure to report as a witness. Why is that important? It is important because, as we've been reporting, there is apparently a grand jury that has been impaneled and has been hearing evidence in connection with the death of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez, who was found dead, her decomposed body found in a Tesla reportedly registered to singer David. This was back in September out in Los Angeles. And to be clear, David hasn't been charged or officially implicated in any crime, but with the reports of a grand jury, this is a flexible situation. We've always wondered what could come of that. Now, according to a representative for the Lewis and Clark County Jail, there was this warrant out for Langston's arrest. And as the information's coming out, again, we looked at the court records. It seems to be 23 years. He's 23 years old. It was originally for an unspecified warrant. So at first, while we couldn't confirm exactly what it was for, TMZ reported, though, that this warrant was out of Los Angeles, and it was for failure to appear as a witness. And by the way, he's currently being held without bond. And TMZ has also reported that police in Montana have been working with LAPD's Robbery Homicide Division, and we believe that has been the unit that has been heading up this investigation into what happened to Celeste. By the way, this jail is out in Montana, population about 70,000. The jail is in Helena. It's the capital city. It's almost 1,200 miles from LA, so we think about that. Now, why is this also important? It's important based on our past reporting, because as we previously discussed on Sidebar, TMZ reported that with this grand jury apparently being impaneled, there was a discussion, an alleged discussion outside the courtroom about an uncooperative witness. Okay, we go back to a conversation that may have happened in December between Deputy District Attorney Beth Silverman, who we believe may be spearheading this case, and attorney Evan Jennis. And Jennis represents apparently both a witness, so maybe Neo Langston, and Robert Morgenroth. Now, Robert Morgenroth is apparently the head of David's touring company and a manager of his label. We previously reported that Morgenroth has been potentially questioned, and we previously reported that Morgenroth had been questioned in front of this grand jury. Obviously, we don't know anything officially. Authorities aren't going to confirm it, but that's based a lot on the reporting, including from TMZ. So if you have an uncooperative witness, and now you have Neo Langston being arrested out in Montana, potentially for failure to appear as a witness, you put two and two together, we're starting to see what might be going on here. Now, Neo Langston, we believe, is a friend of David. We've seen him in photos with the singer. He has posted content himself. Don't know the exact connection. We also don't know if he knew Celeste, if he had a relationship with Celeste of some kind. And again, we can't officially confirm that he was supposed to be testifying in front of this grand jury. But again, we're trying to put two and two together. I want to bring on retired Detective Commander Will Svilar to talk about this. Will, thank you so much for coming on. Again, we're still developing this. I'm still looking for breaking news as we record this. This is a big development. Your thoughts?
Well, if he's being held for a failure to appear as a witness, that's a contempt of court charge. So the charge is contempt of court. They're going to extradite him, bring him back to LA. It sounds to me like, two and two, like you said, the grand jury's been convened since November. What happens then is the prosecution is presenting witness after witness, putting evidence in against a specific targets for a specific charge. So bringing this guy in, they probably believe has pertinent information to support this charge. And it sounds to me like the noose is starting to tighten around the offender.
If we assume that he was supposed to be testifying in front of the grand jury, and obviously we know grand juries are kind of one-sided, it's the prosecution presenting enough evidence to suggest, hey, can you return an indictment? First, we had thought that it was just an investigative grand jury that couldn't return an indictment. Then there was reporting, no, this is a grand jury that can return an indictment. The standard to get back an indictment is relatively low, but it's the prosecution's case. They're presenting evidence to support whatever charges they're looking for here. If we assume he's been an uncooperative witness, and we assume he's all the way in Montana, so 1,200 miles away, timeline's interesting, right? So the reporting in December of an uncooperative witness, and now in January, I wonder if they might have had trouble finding him. I don't know the circumstances of his arrest. I don't know the talk to me about the cooperation if you have LAPD now working with Montana to maybe find him. I do wonder, was there an issue to figure out where he was?
Sure, it could have taken a while to find him, but once you swear out a warrant and you put a warrant across the database across the country, anywhere this guy gets stopped, it's serviceable. As long as it's a good warrant, it's serviceable, and there's extradition involved. It gets served wherever he is. And you get it out there across law enforcement channels. You put it into leads. Once it's in leads, every law enforcement agency has it. So regardless of where he went, he was eventually going to get caught. Now, they may have had some information from whatever sources that he was up in Montana, but this could be as simple as a routine traffic stop where he gets picked up on a name check.
What do you think his connection is to this case?
Well, he's a friend. He's an influencer. I think the purpose of the grand jury is to try to find out what that connection is. And again, there's so many different things out there with these influencers and the YouTube. I don't know what his connection would be, but the grand jury wants to find out, and then prosecution wants to find out. And again, now you can bring him back, extradite him, make him go to the grand jury, but he could still take the fifth, doesn't have to testify.
Yep. I was going to ask you that. I mean, if this is true, he's uncooperative. What's the value? What's the value? But then again, I guess they believe if he takes the fifth, I mean, I do wonder what that would look like and what the value of it is. But by the way, you don't even know. I don't even know if he's somehow implicated in this. You don't even know. We don't even know that as well. If they're like, if he's not just a witness, but he's somehow potentially a criminal defendant, we don't know. And a lot of this is speculation because we don't even know what charges they're looking at. I can't officially confirm what David would be looking at if they are looking at him. Because at first it was there might not be any charges other than concealment of a body. They weren't 100% sure it was a homicide. It was a murder. Reporting kind of changed on that. So again, you do wonder what his role might be.
Well, if it comes back, the medical examiner comes back that this is a homicide, changes everything. If it's a homicide, now you're looking at a murder charge. This grand jury is being presented information and evidence to support a specific charge against a specific person or persons. Could this guy be part of it? He could be, or he could just be a witness. Now, the benefit of bringing him in, if he decides he doesn't want to testify, he wants to take the fifth, well, then the judge can make him sit. The judge who issues a warrant can make him sit in jail. And, up to 30 days, you might change your mind.
That's a good point. And Montana, I wonder, they talk about what's the connection here, right? First of all, we don't know where David is. Have no idea where David is. He's been radio silent, no idea where he is. They talked about this kind of Santa Barbara trip that David may have taken and whether or not it has any connection to what happened to Celeste, because we don't have an official, let's be clear, we don't have a cause or manner of death. The medical examiner's reports have been sealed. We don't know exactly if they have a theory of when she died, where she died, how long she's been in that car. But Montana, now I wonder whether or not LAPD will have the ability to go to Montana and maybe see if there's any evidence connected to Celeste's death there, or it's just Montana's somehow connected to this guy and not anybody else.
Well, every time that my guys had warrants that got served out of state, the first thing I did was put them on a plane to wherever that warrant was served and to see if they could get some conversation going before extradition. So I'd be really surprised if LAPD wasn't in Montana right now talking to this guy or trying to talk to this guy.
We also have gotten word that they're going to continue to have witnesses testify, maybe even into next month. So for those who are wondering whether or not an indictment will come out or whether an indictment will come down soon, what is your theory on this? And also, by the way, do you think in a case like this where there's so much speculation and there's the possibility, when you think about what happened to Celeste, whether or not multiple people can be involved, do you think that this is a grand jury that is hearing evidence against multiple people and there would be multiple indictments or indictment containing multiple defendants at the same time?
Absolutely could well be. And I can tell you, like you mentioned earlier, the threshold to get an indictment, to get probable cause to indict it, to move it on to trial, to the next phase, isn't that high. Okay, it's like probable cause. But if you're bringing all these witnesses, you're laying out a pretty complex complaint or a complex argument that possibly there could be more than one person. Matter of fact, I'd be surprised if there was only one person.
Even as I'm reporting this, I'm realizing how little information we actually have about this. Do you think once there's an indictment, or if there's an indictment, authorities will release the information they have? They'll they petitioned a court to seal the medical examiner's records. Do you think it's all going to be released? I mean, do you think all that information will be released to the public, the media? I know it's still an ongoing investigation, I imagine, but when will they give answers?
The records are sealed right now. That grand jury is always sealed until a judge says you can give information. If there's an indictment on this, I think you're going to hear an indictment. You're going to hear an announcement of an indictment. You may get some background, but I don't think they're laying out their whole case. And we can't get it because right now all the transcripts are sealed. So until it gets unsealed by a judge, we won't know anything until probably time of trial.
And by the way, just to go back to Neil Langston, if someone is allegedly uncooperative, does that mean they have something to hide? Or have you seen in your experience, maybe they don't want to testify for a variety of reasons?
Both ways. Either someone's got something to hide, and more often than not, when we get reluctant witnesses, and 32 years on a job, I worked murders and violent crimes for 25 of them. Most of the time in those instances where we can't get someone to cooperate, it's because out of fear. Their fear of retribution, and they don't want to get themselves involved or their families involved.
This is also a case that develops and changes rapidly, which makes me always wonder whether or not people have been talking and people have been cooperating. So as I mentioned, if there was that shift from we don't know what happened to Celeste, there might not be any charges beyond concealing her body, and then, oh, maybe it's a homicide investigation. I do wonder if this is a case where deals have been worked out and whether or not people have been incentivized to provide testimony.
It all depends. When you talk about a deal, if you say you've got someone who's a co-defendant, if there's a co-defendant in a trial and you make a deal with them to testify against another person, that testimony cannot come in until the charge that you're making a deal with is adjudicated. So it can't be two trials going on at the same time. It has to be adjudicated. There has to be a punishment or a sentence, and then that person can come in to testify. I don't know what's going on behind closed doors. We don't know what any of these witnesses are saying because it's sealed. You could have half of them coming in and taking a fifth. But I believe they're probably getting some pretty good information. That's why it's continuing, and they're calling more people.
By the way, did you see this mugshot of him? We have it. Did you see it? Where
he looks pretty
smiling. That was weird.
Yeah, he looks like he's in a good mood.
Yeah, that was interesting, just to say the least. I mean,
yeah, I did see that.
But you also think about how young they are. I mean, you talk about 23-year-old. What's David? 20 years old. These are young people that investigators might be looking at. I think and that's, by the way, something else that everybody talks about. They say if they're looking at David, it's not just in connection with the death of Celeste, but any alleged relationship he had with her. Do you think that's being explored?
Sure, absolutely. There's ages of consent. She's below the age of consent. He's over the age of consent. That's an inappropriate relationship, and not only inappropriate, but illegal. So when we talk about the indictments and the charges, that could very well be part of it.
Do you think they know where David is right now?
I think they probably have a pretty good idea.
Mm-hmm. And we know, as we were previously reported, his attorney, he's retained Blair Burke, who is a very high-powered attorney. So I have to imagine there must be some sort of communication between her and authorities. Just going back, completely different case, but with the Diddy case, right? His attorneys were in constant communication with federal prosecutors about where he is. He's going to come to New York. We've taken his passport. Do you imagine something like that's been going on here?
I would guarantee it. There's no way Blair Burke's going to hide her client. And when it comes time to indictment or for charges, she'll surrender the client. No question about it. She'd be foolish not to.
When are we going to learn more about this guy? Are we going to learn more about when he's taken back to LA? Will we know the circumstances of what's going on? How much will the public and the media be aware of this? Oh, wait, hold on. I got an update. Okay. Oh, okay. Listen to this. It appears he was brought in by the U.S. Marshals last night at around 6 p.m. What do you make of that?
U.S. Marshals Task Force works with every jurisdiction in the country. Every department or every county has a U.S. Marshal Task Force that basically they serve warrants. Criminal warrants, they get the criminal warrants, they do all their stuff, ping phones, whatever they have to do, and they find the person. So federal task force, we use it all the time. And that task force is U.S. Marshals and also local law enforcement.
What assets do they provide? Because originally, right, it was supposed to be LAPD coordinating with Montana authorities. Why bring in the U.S. Marshals? What resources do they have that Montana authorities or LAPD doesn't have?
Well, they have the expertise. Well, first of all, LA, you can't, the warrant in LA once you bring it over to out of state, LA can't really serve it. They have to have local law enforcement do it. And the marshals are a great asset because they have all the information. They have access to phone records, and the people that write their warrants to ping phones and to look for people are very good. It's all they do. All they do is get for criminal warrants, serve them, and get the bad guys off the street. And they're very good at it.
By the way, Steve Fisher, who we've had on this program before, he's the private investigator who has been hired by the owner of that property that David had been renting and staying at where the Tesla was found nearby. Neil Langston has been arrested in Montana on a Los Angeles Superior Court warrant for failure to appear for testimony. Lewis and Clark County expects LA County to begin the extradition process. By the way, can you just explain a little bit more about what we can expect with extradition?
Yes, he will go before a judge in Montana, and he will either waive extradition or he'll fight extradition. 9 out of 10 times they waive extradition and they are brought back to the jurisdiction by detectives from that jurisdiction. If he waives it, now it has to go to the governor, or if he fights it, it has to go to the governor of Montana, who has to say, yep, it looks like there's probable cause, you have to go. And that's usually about 30 days. It doesn't happen very often, but that's usually what it does. It's just a formality where it takes about another month.
And you wouldn't really want to fight it if you feel like, you know, you're going back. Like, you would fight it because you're going to stay in jail. If you fight it, you're staying in jail in Montana. Whereas if you're like, okay, I'm not fighting it, let's go back to LA, he's probably not going to be kept in jail. I mean, if he's cooperative and decides to testify or whatever the situation may be, I mean, again, we don't know if he's facing charges or whatnot, but there wouldn't be an incentive for him to fight it per se, right?
No, I wouldn't think so. You're getting a free ride home. And like you said, if you go before the grand jury and you give testimony, you're not going to be locked up. The warrant will take care of itself. All the charges will be dismissed. Now, if he doesn't provide testimony, it's up to them it's up to the judge whether or not they want to keep him in jail on contempt charges, and they could.
One thing I forgot to mention is that he did see a judge for a courtesy arraignment today, and he's already being transferred out to Los Angeles. Anything we should be thinking about there?
No, he's not fighting it, and the LA detectives are bringing him back to LA County.
All right. I don't really have much more. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all we can report right now. It is an interesting development because there hasn't been much, but Will Spielar, thank you so much for jumping on so quickly and talking about this.
My pleasure.
All right, everybody, that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you should get your podcasts. You can also check us out on NBC's Peacock. We got Sidebar episodes up there as well. If you want to follow me, X, Instagram, I got my News Nation show, Jesse Weber Live, Monday through Friday nights. Thank you so much, everybody. I'll see you next time.
All right, guys, thank you very much for coming today. I have called you for a very special thing. We have an event day after tomorrow, and Khushi, you will make the necessary arrangements. Khushi.
Yeah, sure, sir.
You seem a bit off today.
Everything is good, sir. Don't worry, I will do.
All right, I am counting on you. All the very best.
ਕੱਲ ਰਾਤੀ ਰੋਈਆਂ ਮੈਂ ਤੇਰੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਸੁਣਿਆ ਏ ਤੂੰ ਵੀ ਰੋਇਆ ਮੇਰੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਕੁੜੀਆਂ ਚ ਲੜਾ ਮੈਂ ਵੀ ਤੇਰੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਮੁੰਡਿਆਂ ਚ ਅੜੇ ਤੂੰ ਵੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਮੈਂ ਨਾ ਪਿਆਰ ਕਰਾਂ ਕਿਉਂ ਨਖਰੇ ਜਿਹੇ ਦਿਖਾਵੇਂ ਇੰਨਾ ਨਾ ਸਤਾਇਆ ਕਰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਮੇਰੀ ਜਾਨ ਨਿਕਲ ਨਾ ਜਾਵੇ ਮੈਂ ਜਦ ਵੀ ਕੁਝ ਬੋਲਾਂ ਨਾਮ ਬੁਲਾਤੇ ਆਵੇ ਨਾ 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 ਪੁੱਛਦੀ ਮੈਂ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਸੱਚ ਸੱਚ ਦੱਸੀ ਵੇ ਇੱਕ ਵੀ ਨਾ ਗੱਲ ਵੇ ਤੂੰ ਦਿਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਰੱਖੀ ਵੇ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਨਹੀਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੀ ਵੇ ਤੇਰਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਪਿਆਰ ਵੇ ਸੁਣ ਮੇਰੀ ਸੁਣ ਲੈ ਯਾਰ ਵੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੋਹਣਾ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਵੀ ਲੜਦਾ ਏ ਜਦ ਵੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਾਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਫਟਾ ਵੇਖ ਕੇ ਸੜਦਾ ਏ ਰਾਜ ਰਾਜ ਤੂੰ ਹਰ ਵਾਰੀ ਹੋਏ ਰਾਜ ਰਾਜ ਤੂੰ ਹਰ ਵਾਰੀ ਲਾਰੇ ਲਾਵੇਂ ਇੰਨਾ ਨਾ ਸਤਾਇਆ ਕਰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਮੇਰੀ ਜਾਨ ਨਿਕਲ ਨਾ ਜਾਵੇ ਮੈਂ ਜਦ ਵੀ ਕੁਝ ਬੋਲਾਂ ਤੇਰਾ ਨਾਮ ਬੁਲਾਤੇ ਆਵੇ ਸਾਰਾ ਦਿਨ ਬਿਜ਼ੀ ਰਹਿਣਾ ਏ ਤੂੰ ਯਾਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਬਹਿਣਾ ਏ ਤੇਰੀ ਦੂਰੀ ਤੇ ਮਜਬੂਰੀ ਦਿਲ ਮੇਰਾ ਏ ਸਹਿੰਦਾ ਏ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਜਾਵਾਂ ਨਾ ਜਾਵਾਂ ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਗੱਲ ਮੈਂ ਪੁੱਛਦੀ ਆ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਦੇ ਮਨਾਉਂਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਤੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਰੁੱਸਦੀ ਆ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਚੰਗਾ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਏ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਚੰਗਾ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਏ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਸਿਰ ਮੇਰਾ ਤੂੰ ਖਾਵੇਂ ਇੰਨਾ ਨਾ ਸਤਾਇਆ ਕਰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਮੇਰੀ ਜਾਨ ਨਿਕਲ ਨਾ ਜਾਵੇ ਮੈਂ ਜਦ ਵੀ ਕੁਝ ਬੋਲਾਂ ਤੇਰਾ ਨਾਮ ਬੁਲਾਤੇ ਆਵੇ
हे गाइस, तो अभी आपने हमारा दुनिया सॉन्ग देखा, सो प्लीज कमेंट करके बताना कि आपको सॉन्ग कैसा लगा।
एंड हाँ, वीडियो को लाइक करना, जाने से पहले रिपल म्यूजिक स्टूडियोज के चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर लेना। थैंक यू, बाय बाय एवरीवन।